for the battered but proud people of the Empire State. From the financial and entertainment epicenter of New York City to the sleeping and empty small cities and towns of upstate, which once bustled with manufacturing, mining, and farming. We all know from inspiration, history, and nature, we deserve a return to the success and growth of generations past, a birthright being squandered by corruption in Albany, and the depredations of an insecure, scheming mountebank posing as governor, who loathes both us and himself. As liberty beckoned to enslaved peoples behind the Iron Curtain via American broadcasts after World War II, we now say, believe, rise, and join us. Welcome to Radio Free New York.
Hey guys, welcome to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister, and I've got Bob Savage in the studio with me.
Well, Happy New Year all.
Yeah, Happy New Year. How was your New Year's, Bob?
It was very nice, uneventful.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good way for New Year's to be.
And being mindful of the stepped up DWI enforcement that was going on around the metro, I just drank soft drinks.
There you go. Yep. Yeah, I didn't go out for
had some whiskey when I was home, but I mean, nothing before you drank. I mean, because they've got those sniffers now, folks.
The dogs or?
No, they have these sniffers on their uniforms. It's this little pickup, and you roll the window down, they walk up to you, and they say, everything okay here? And they instantly know if you've had a drink.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely.
One of the things I've learned from Council De Palma, frequent flyer here on the flagship station, he's had quite a bit of experience with DWI defense, and you don't have to blow .08 to get a DWI. Mm-hmm. This is a commonly held misconception. We can talk about that more in detail, though.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because you can get was it driving while impaired or something?
Yeah, DWAI.
Like
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of little ways they can get you. And we have I think a New York State Assembly person that ran into just that. And the unfortunate thing is, I forget what his last name is. Brian Kolb. Kolb. That's what it was. He made a post saying, oh, there's no excuse to drink and drive because there's Uber and Lyft, which was actually a pretty similar sentiment we had on the show a couple days ago for New Year's Eve. And then he got a DWI that night, which is just very disappointing. And he released a kind of like a statement about it. And to me, that fell on deaf ears. So
I know the leader not well, but I shared a dais with him on Constitution Day 3-4 years back. I think he's a good guy. People make mistakes. What can I say? And if you're in that position of responsibility, it just, I think, highlights it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel bad for him, but I think that he'll survive this. And fortunately, nobody got hurt. So, yeah. But let's learn the lesson from that, folks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So
now watch, I'll have a DWI by this time tomorrow. Now that I've said those words, right?
Good job. Yeah. So today's topic is going to be Second Amendment related. That is, it'll be the first Second Amendment show that we do in 2020. There you go. And for those of you wondering,
first Second Amendment show, and actually this is our second First Amendment show.
There you go.
When you think about it, we did one on the January 1st. So shooting our mouth off yesterday.
There you go. And you should all be proud of me. I haven't bought any guns this year yet. So
I'm not proud of you.
Wait, there's only been 2 days.
I'm concerned. Right. Yeah. Come on, it's noon.
I know. Well, you know what I did, though? I did on New Year's Day. I went over to the firing pin in Bergen and did some shooting there. It's another indoor range in the area. Had an absolute blast, literally and figuratively, and had a good time. So I've been trying to get in, appropriate trigger time, because as somebody who is a firearms owner, I think it's really important that you maintain proficiency with your firearm. And this is one of those things that, guys, it's a perishable skill, just like anything else. So you got to make sure that you're keeping up with it, that you're practicing, that you're being safe, which is something we've talked about a lot on this show. And I'm sure you guys hear it all around, but since I've got your ear and your attention, you're hearing it again. So we're going to talk about that later in the show. One of the things I want to talk about is this idea of sanctuary status for the Second Amendment in counties. There's been a lot of discussion about it. A lot of people talking about they want to do it, but maybe they don't know how. I'm in the process of doing a little bit of research for the appropriate language, but we're going to talk about things that you should be doing throughout this process, because I see that there's not a lot of good information out there. I also see that there's not enough of the right information. And you might be saying, Andrew, that sounds like the same thing. They're very different. The good information that is lacking out there is kind of like the how-to piece. But the other information that isn't out there that you guys need to know about is sanctuary status is not an end-all be-all. It is literally just the first step. And if you stop there, we'll have the same thing we had when we passed all the SAFE Act resolutions. What did we have? A little bit of feel good, a nice little map that showed a bunch of green and a little bit of red down in New York City, and no change. So this show is going to be to talk about these issues and help you go in a direction where this time we see change, because I think that's important. But before we get onto that, I wanted to share with you guys a little article that came from the New York Post, which is about us losing more population here in New York State, which is extremely frustrating. But we all know why. I mean, there's certainly no shortage of reasons, and ironically, not just the politicians, but the economists, they seem to agree on this. The issue is we have just too high costs, too many taxes, too many fees, too many regulations, and that's what's driving people away. We have lost another 76,790 people in New York State, which is that's a tremendous amount of people. That's a lot of families up and leaving New York State. Some for tax reasons, others for the vaccine mandate, which I've heard a lot of families say, Andrew, we're going elsewhere because of this vaccine mandate. We don't feel comfortable with the government telling us what we can and cannot put in our child's bodies. All the way through, just so many reasons. Not a single person told me they were leaving because of the weather. And I didn't talk to all.
That's ridiculous.
I haven't had a single
state would have been empty 150 years ago if it was about the weather.
Yep. So a couple facts here that are worth knowing about. New York State was only one of 10 states to suffer population decline from 2018 to 2019. So we are certainly in the minority here. It's not like a bunch of other states are losing population. No, we are one of only 10. This is the fourth consecutive annual decrease that we've had. After 5 years of growth, we've had the largest population drop of any state in the nation. These are not races we want to be winning, guys. These are not, we don't want these medals. These are bad medals to be collecting.
Well, it is if you're Andrew Cuomo, because as another legislator of the left variety once said to me, I don't care if they move away. It's one less person to vote against me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
This is their view, by the way.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we all remember the famous Cuomo quote of if you're a conservative, you don't need to live in New York State, or conservatives aren't welcome in New York State.
No place for if you believe in, I can't remember, the right to have semi-automatic weapons. You want to restrict abortion, there's no place for you in New York.
Yeah, something along those lines.
See if I can find it here.
So, yeah, I'm sure we've got a clip somewhere. So with that being said, New York State is likely going to lose one, maybe two congressional seats this upcoming year. So we're going to lose federal representation. We've lost over 1.3 million people over the last 10 years. It's over 100,000 people a year that we're losing. And I know a lot of people are sitting here thinking, yeah, but you know what we have? We have all these immigrants and this and that. We're filling it up. Our immigration population is down too, which I was surprised at.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it is down to the second lowest it's been in 58 years. So think about that. And New York State's been really opening their arms to not just legal immigration, but illegal immigration as well. And we're hitting the second lowest in 58 years. And I tell you what, if you think about immigrants, and you think about their family structure and things like that, uprooting from a country and coming somewhere from nothing is pretty difficult. You come to a state like New York, where it is immensely expensive. Yeah, you end up going somewhere else. Doesn't matter if you're a citizen or an immigrant. If you can't afford to be there, you can't afford to be there. So this is an issue impacting everyone all across the board. And I think it's just important to bring the light that doesn't matter who you are or what political ideology you've got, you are leaving this state. But have no fear. The state legislature, they're looking out for you. That's why earlier last year, they voted to give Governor Cuomo a $70,000 raise so that he can be the highest paid governor in the nation at $250,000 a year.
So cool. Yeah, I just love that. Let's bump out here to go to break with a little from Governor Headcase himself. And all we have to do is get this thing to start.
Their problem is themselves. Who are they? Are they these extreme conservatives who are right to life?
That's you, folks.
Pro-assault weapon, anti-gay? Is that who they are? Because if that's who they are, and if they are the extreme conservatives, they have no place in the state of New York, because that's not who New Yorkers are.
Don't you love the governor telling us who we are?
Yeah.
Nice
he
touch.
Speaks for everybody. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got all the answers. Who said they were anti-gay? I never heard any of that.
Yeah, who knows? He just says whatever he wants.
Exactly. Radio Free New York. We'll be back.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hi, Bob Savage here for the WYSL station. So times are tight, and you've got to watch every penny. How to get maximum advertising impact without shelling out maximum bucks? Well, there's print media. Of course, there's a reason why it's called the incredible shrinking daily paper. Then there are those penny savers and shoppers, 98% of which hit the recycling bin without ever being opened. And are you really looking for customers who are shopping for used tires and playpens? You could try cable TV, 500 channels, 12 viewers per channel. Or how about hiring some guy in a day-glow orange wig to dance holding up your sign down at the corner? If you want real advertising impact with a quality message for savvy consumers who actually have money to spend, WYSL has a giant 20,000-watt signal and 2 FM channels at 92.1 and 95.5, covering 1.4 million people all over Rochester and the region, literally all the way to Pennsylvania. Get results, save time and money. Call us, get on board, and start growing for 2020. 346-3000 or WYSL1040.com.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to Simple Tech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that Simple Tech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at Simple Tech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at Simple Tech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
You're listening to Radio Free New York.
All right. Welcome Welcome back to Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. Today's topic is about Second Amendment sanctuaries. And what I'm going to do for you guys, I just want to run through some things that you need to know if you're thinking you want to create a Second Amendment sanctuary in your county. And this is specific to New York State, but to be honest, this can translate over to any state. The process may be a little different in your state. The process might vary a little bit in your county, but the whole premise and the direction that you need to go on this is going to be generally the same. So let me give you guys a little background first on what a Second Amendment sanctuary is and why people are essentially saying it's becoming necessary. So a Second Amendment sanctuary county is this idea that your county is going to pass a resolution saying they will not participate in gun control. That's it in the most general sense. And some of these might be specific to a certain type of gun control, new laws moving forward. The language in these various sanctuary ordinances, it really does vary. So I want to talk about some of the things that you guys should be looking at when you put these together. And I want to also talk about where you start and what the end goal should really be. Because we've essentially done this in New York once before. We did this with the resolutions opposing the SAFE Act, which started back in 2013, and we got almost every county in New York State to pass these resolutions. And what did we see? Nothing. We saw no change. But people kind of, pat their hands off, pat themselves on the back. All right, we did it, but nothing actually happened. And I want you guys to be really clear on this. Getting a Second Amendment sanctuary resolution should absolutely be done. We should definitely do this. However, it has no force of law behind it. It is a political statement. It's a statement being made, and it's a statement we've already made. But should we do it? Yes, and here's why. Because today, people are becoming more active. People are standing up and realizing, oh, crap, this bad stuff's happening. Now's a good time to get involved. So doing the sanctuary city, the sanctuary county resolutions is a very good first step in getting your county primed and ready to go, including activists, on the rest of the steps. So the first thing I want to let you guys know is there are groups starting to form together across the state, county by county, trying to organize to make this happen. So if you happen to be on Facebook, just go in your Facebook search bar and search Upstate New York 2A supporters. There's a Facebook group there. There's already over 5,000 people in it trying to get together, trying to organize to help pass these sanctuary ordinances. And there's links to specific counties. So join that group, look for the post that has, the list of the various county groups, and then you can kind of hone in on your county's organization. You guys can get together, start trying to make this happen. If you're in another state, I recommend you do something similar. Start it with your gun club. Reach out to the people around you. We need all of the people who haven't been voting, who haven't been getting active, your friends, your family, your coworkers. We need their help. We need to make this happen. If not, you could almost say it can't get much worse, but it's going to get worse. And to that point, I do have, I've been following some legislation. Nick actually commented in about it on the Facebook feed here, asking about Senate Bill 1412 and the new bill proposed to add GPS to rifles and other firearms being manufactured. He wants to know, how do we effectively oppose such regulations? And we'll kind of hit that a little bit. But guys, this is what New York is proposing right now, that any firearm manufactured in this state, regardless of where the destination is, just any firearm manufactured is going to now need to be outfitted with a GPS tracker. They're saying, well, it's for your safety because firearms get stolen.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not going to be for your safety. And once New York does it, essentially what we're going to see is the elimination of firearms manufacturers in New York State. And I know some people have said, hey, are there even any firearm manufacturers left in New York State? There's a few. Kimber is still made in New York State. There's a lot of small mom and pop shops that do manufacturing in New York State. There's a couple bigger machine shops that manufacture for like Remington and some other people in New York State. They've moved their factories out, but they still use some of the local workers for machining. This will effectively kill gun manufacturing in New York, and then New Jersey's going to do it, and then California is going to do it, and all these other states are going to continue to shut it down and eliminate firearms manufacturing across the country. And I tell you what, people will listen and say, well, it never happened in my state of Florida, or it's never going to happen in my state of Virginia. Those states are going blue, guys. I mean, you better stop it here before it goes elsewhere, because it will go elsewhere. So let's talk about this just a little bit. What should be in your sanctuary resolutions? It should not just be our county opposes gun regulation. That's cute and everything, not effective. It should be in that resolution that it's directing the sheriff and law enforcement agencies to non-enforcement. And not all the counties are going to have the power to do this, but it should be in there anyways, so that law enforcement can say, well, you know, the county said not to, so we're just following the county's instructions. Even if the county doesn't actually have the authority to do that, law enforcement will happily say, well, we're doing it because, you know, we were told to, and they have like something to fall back on. It just makes it easier for law enforcement. Doesn't mean that it has the force of law to do it, but it gives them the ability to say, hey, somebody who is an elected official who is theoretically above me, but maybe not, has said this, you know, from the people that are elected. It kind of gives them, I don't want to say an out, but it gives them the opportunity to say there's support for this from the elected people. We're doing it. The next two pieces are really big ones that I haven't seen anywhere, that are probably the most important parts. And we're going to talk more about this later, but stating that your county will not accept any money, any grant, any funding from the state or federal government furthering gun control. This is seriously the most important part. The second piece of that is saying that your county won't include any budget items in their annual budget for gun control or gun control enforcement measures. And we'll talk about that piece a little bit more deeply later in the show. But guys, this is how they've chained people to gun control and other unfunded mandates, or even funded mandates, because the counties, the law enforcement departments, everybody have not been able to walk away from the money and the funding they're getting because government's gotten too big and bloated. That is our biggest weakness. And you'll hear from your elected officials, yeah, if we don't do this, we're going to lose funding. And they make it this big bad thing. You know, if we were running government right, that funding wouldn't matter. So this is an issue that we're going to have to fix.
Also, whenever you take money from on high, there's always strings attached to it. Mm-hmm. Yep. And frequently, they don't even come through with the money.
Yeah. Half the time they don't. You're right. Yep.
You agree to do whatever dopey thing is, whatever hoops they want you to jump through to get this money. You go through all that, and then they say, no, the program's out of money.
Yeah. The last thing that I haven't seen anybody talk about in these sanctuary county resolutions that absolutely should be in here, that you need to make sure you modify yours to include this, is that in this resolution, they state the intent to modify your county's charter to put these items into the charter for your county so that it's no longer just a statement. Once they integrate it into the charter that they can't accept money from the state or the federal government for these purposes, and they can't budget for them, well, then that's the charter of your county. It can't be changed unless they go in and then change the charter again, which is a difficult thing. So that's why this is to state the intent to do that. And now you're creating a mission statement for your county exec, your county ledge to move forward on. And in Monroe County, like we're in today, that's actually going to be difficult because we've got a Republican majority in the legislature, but we're going to have a Democrat sitting on as the county exec. So this could be a difficult thing. because it probably won't get signed unless we create enough pressure to make that happen. Your county might be totally blue both ways. Your county might be totally red, or it could be a mix of either of those things. So this could be a challenge, but these are the first steps. So this is all the county level, county legislatures, and this is what's got to happen for that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk about the next step, because you don't stop here when this happens. There's a lot more that's got to happen. We're going to take a break here on Radio Free New York.
Now more than twice the power.
WYSL.
More powerful FM 92.1, FM 95.5 West and 1040 AM WYSL Avon Rochester.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center. Today, we're looking at above average temperatures in the lower 50s. Plenty of sunshine in the afternoon hours, but in the evening hours, we'll see clouds return to the forecast. Friday, temperatures in the upper 40s, rain returns, and Saturday, rain to snow, likely 41 degrees. This is Samantha LaRocca for WYSL.
WYSL with a little food for thought. Not one feminist has defended Sarah Sanders. It seems women's rights only matter if those women are liberal leftists. Let that sink in.
This is Dom Genova, owner of Genesee Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Genesee Valley Ford in Avon, your no-nonsense car dealer. Looking for a good used car? You know what's typical. Lots of hype in the ads, car lots with tons of cars you have to pick through like produce from yesterday's flea market, no guarantee of quality, and commission salespeople trying to make you pay more. But it doesn't have to be that way. At Genesee Valley, we're your no-nonsense used car dealer too. We take pride in our used cars and trucks just the same as our new. You never have to pick over lesser quality cars and trucks because we won't offer them. And what's more important, our non-commissioned salespeople will help you get into the right vehicle for you at the right payment for your family. Genesee Valley Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Genesee Valley Ford, your no-nonsense used car dealer.
Genesee Valley.
Exit 10, Route 390 in Avon.
GeneseeValley.com.
Joanna Palvino here. Even though I'm semi-retired, I'm as busy as ever. Effortlessly Healthy Meal Delivery gives me the freedom to do what I want with meals ready to heat, eat, and enjoy. Always fresh, not frozen, delicious meals made locally that I can choose each week, delivered to my door, or you can pick them up. Food so healthy that Effortlessly Healthy is the preferred caterer of the U of R Medical Center. Seniors always get 10% off with their Healthy Seniors Plan, and for a limited time, new customers get a 25% discount just by using code SeniorsRock at checkout. Here's to a healthy new year. Eat well, live long, be happy, and save 25% when you use code SeniorsRock at checkout. 254-0078, 254-0078, or check out all they have to offer at ehmeals.com. That's ehmeals.com for Effortlessly Healthy.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Rofe, first name, Renee, slide it on, pull it off, panties, bra to panty. Attach, cinch, step it on, pink lipstick, Sophie B or his name, just don't forget that Club, wear it out, wear it out. I'm wearing in wherever. It's the brand that stands out. Even when it's under Renee Roe
At Show World.
Last spot.
Genova, owner of Genesee Valley Motors in Avon, your no-nonsense car dealer. Well, we're your no-nonsense truck dealer, too. Selling Rams and Fords up to the mightiest that they make. And we have a shop with Master Techs open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. 6 days a week, even Saturday, so you can get your truck serviced when it's not billing hours for you. You may not be used to that. Visit RochesterWorkTrucks.com. That's RochesterWorkTrucks.com.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We're talking about sanctuary counties, and we're talking about Second Amendment sanctuary counties. The idea that your county would pass a resolution to not enforce gun regulation, essentially. And some of these sanctuary ordinances are very specific. It might be the SAFE Act. It might be red flag laws. It might be any new gun legislation. Each county is probably going to vary a little bit. But what we're talking about here is, regardless of how that is structured, the things that you need to include in this sanctuary resolution, and then the steps afterwards. So if you're just joining the show, I'll run through what you need to include just very briefly, because now we're going to move on to what do you do afterwards. So very briefly, make sure that your sanctuary county ordinance includes directing the sheriff and local law enforcement agencies towards non-enforcement, stating that your county will not accept federal, state money towards furthering gun control, stating that the county won't include any of those as line items in the budget, and then creating the intent for the county to modify their charter to make these pieces a permanent part of your county's charter. Very important. These are things that are going to set us up for further success long term. Then, when that happens, and actually while this is happening, there's a lot more work to do, guys, because these resolutions hold no force of law. So if you just say, oh, I'm going to get this ordinance passed, I'm going to get this resolution passed, and then kind of wipe your hands clean and say, all right, I did my work, that's not right. You're not going to see any change. And my proof to that is what we did with the SAFE Act. We already did these resolutions for the SAFE Act. It felt good. There was no change. So the next step is, you got to talk with your sheriff. Your sheriff is an elected official. You elect your sheriff into office, and you need to push them to make a policy of non-enforcement in their department and to make that a public policy. And they're going to catch flack for it from the state. Absolutely. Look at what Virginia's doing. Virginia actually has a proposed bill right now that if law enforcement engages in non-enforcement of the laws they pass, that they can then fire and remove those law enforcement officers. New York State will try the same thing. They absolutely will. So you're not asking them to not have skin in the game. You're saying, hey, you took an oath of office. I want you to make this policy to back that up, and there's going to be some skin in the game because they're going to catch flack.
Yeah, it happened with the New York SAFE Act. These Chemung County Sheriff Chris Moss, is that what his name was?
I believe so. Yeah.
It was Chris Moss. The folks in WENY land, forgive me if I got that wrong. I think it was Chris Moss. He got quite a bit of pressure from Andy over the SAFE Act because he let it be known, and he was an early adopter of this idea of non-compliance.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the thing. The policy is not enough. It's not enough. You have to push them to make a commitment. And this is the same thing. This is going to be a reoccurring theme here, guys. Not to accept federal or state money or grants or any of that to further gun control. And to be honest, to stop accepting that money altogether, which is going to be hard for them to swallow. It's going to be hard for your county to swallow. And if all else fails, push them, like one sheriff has already said they're going to do in Virginia, to deputize all the citizens in their county so they all get the law enforcement exemption. I don't know how realistic that is, especially in New York State. I'd love to see it happen, but I'm just going to be straight with you guys. I don't envision that actually happening, but who knows? Maybe somebody would. Maybe it's possible.
Or there'll be some other creative way that somebody comes up with to block this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the next step. You get your resolution passed, then you work on your county sheriff. Next stop, we're not done, guys. Next stop is your DA's office. You have to do the same thing with your district attorney. You have to talk with them, talk with their office and say, hey, you can't prosecute these crimes. You can't, because they're not actually crimes. Sure, the state has made them a crime, but our Second Amendment rights guaranteed by the Constitution supersede that and pressure them to have a policy of non-prosecution on these crimes. Because I'll tell you what, if you can get to the point where the county says, do not enforce, and the sheriff's department says, we're not going to arrest, and the DA's office says, and even if somebody does arrest, we're not going to prosecute. And these laws are really starting to whittle away to where the laws are extremely ineffective. And, that is really what we want. You got to cover it in every single spot. And here's the reason for that. Your sheriff's department is not the only law enforcement in your county. You're going to have town police departments, city police departments, but your district attorney's office, they're the ones doing all the prosecuting. So if you can't get a certain department on board with non-enforcement, but every time they bring it to the DA doesn't prosecute, guess what? There's a win there, They'll eventually just stop wasting their time with all these arrests and because it's not going to get prosecuted in court anyways. So as you guys might have guessed, that's our next stop: local towns, local police departments. This is a multi-step process, guys. You get the resolution, you get the sheriff's, you get the DA's office. Now you work on your town and your city, both the city council and the town council, and law enforcement. And you do the same exact thing. It's basically the same process. You just have to cover all of your bases. So now you're asking them the same thing. Will you commit to not accepting federal and state money? Will you direct local PD to non-enforcement? And if you have a mayor or a town supervisor, you got to beat them up over this too. You got to be having those conversations. You pick up the phone, visit them in their office, and ask all of your friends to do the same thing. Plan an event on Facebook and get as many people to show up as possible, to the point where every single time that elected official turns around, they're looking over their shoulder because they know somebody's going to say, hey, did you pass this yet? Because I want that. You want them to be thinking about it when they sleep. You want them to be having dreams about people showing up at their office asking them to pass this and to support your rights, because that's what they were elected to do, plain and simple. And that's not what they've been doing. And I know something that's going to be hard for some people to hear, although deep down inside you already know this is true. It's not just Democrats. It's been Democrats and Republicans working together in the state of New York to make this government too big, to make it bloated, and they've done it for small wins. They've made government a little bit bigger to say they created 5 more jobs. They've accepted money to a grant for some additional development somewhere, so they can say, oh, look, we're developing in our area. We just created 100 jobs. They didn't create 100 jobs. They made government bigger, and they took your money out of your pocket and just moved it into somebody else's. And this is not a strictly Democrat thing. This has been Democrats and Republicans for decades, and they're now stuck on this money, and they're worried if they do the right thing, they're going to lose funding. And I'll be honest with you, and this is what you're going to have. This is going to be your challenge when you talk with these elected officials and you challenge them to not accept this money, to do the right thing. They're going to know that the action that they have to take to be successful long term is going to make them look bad. They are going to have some short-term losses for a long-term gain, which has not been what's happening with the politicians. Instead, what they've been doing is a bunch of short-term wins for huge long-term losses. And that's what we've been living with in New York. That's why we're losing over 100,000 people every single year.
And more than that, too, if you drill down with whatever this deal is, and typically the pitch is, and this is what you hear at every town board meeting, well, if we don't use this money, somebody else will get it. Mm-hmm. So we might as well get our share of it. Well, first of all, that kind of groupthink doesn't work, because that's the kind of attitude that drives up taxes.
Yeah.
And the cost of government like crazy. But on a local level and a more pragmatic level, usually when you drill down into these programs, when either a federal or state bureaucracy dangles money at your municipality and they go for it like a ham sandwich.
Yep.
If you find out that the real cost of accepting that money is much greater than any value that the community gets from it. Not always. But lots of times.
But many times, yeah.
Because usually that stuff is offered to advance some kind of agenda.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, we're going to take our last break of the hour. When we come back, we're going to talk about what these elected officials are going to have to do to make this possible. This is the long-term game, guys, the long-term game. We'll be back in a moment on Radio Free New York.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Aircraft Environmental Systems proudly supports Radio Free New York. Rochester-based leaders in climate simulation chambers for America's R&D laboratories. We're experts in troubleshooting, calibrations, custom designs, and consulting for more than 40 years. Industry pioneers, we created the first ever fleet of temperature, humidity, and altitude test chambers available to rent coast to coast. Trained and trusted by environmental chamber manufacturers, we are ACES. Find us at acesinc.com.
Human trafficking is when someone is being forced, tricked, or coerced to engage in a sex trade or forced labor. If you're a kid and forced to sell sex, drugs, or work against your will, that's trafficking. You're not a criminal, and there is help available. Call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888 or text Be Free. Sponsored by the Livingston County Safe Harbors Human Trafficking Task Force.
Relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Radio Free New York.
All right, we are back here on Radio Free New York. I'm your host, Andrew Hollister. We're talking about Second Amendment sanctuary counties and basically how the sanctuary ordinance, the sanctuary resolution, is really just the first step. So if you're just joining us in the show, you've missed a whole bunch. You're going to have to go back and listen to it. But I'll give you a brief rundown, and that is that your sanctuary resolution should include a few extra things, which is directing the sheriff and law enforcement agencies to non-enforcement, stating that your county won't accept any money, grants, anything like that to further gun control, stating that they won't include any of those as budget items, and then creating the intent to modify your county's charter to make those things a permanent piece of the charter in your county. So those are just some of the things that I'm not seeing in these sanctuary resolutions that I believe are truly important to set the stage for the next steps. Then we talked about what you need to do next, and you'll have to go back and listen to the podcast for that. So here's the problem. Our elected officials and our law enforcement agencies have been accepting money for decades now, accepting funding that they never should have accepted to begin with. They never should have accepted this money that sounds like good stuff. Oh, here's $10,000 to train on XYZ. Here's, $250,000 to build this facility that you don't really need. All of this stuff has been done by Democrats and Republicans to whether intentionally or unintentionally have short-term gains with long-term losses. And now government is so big that our elected officials and our law enforcement agencies are in a spot where if they decide to walk away from the state, to walk away from the federal government and say, no, we will not comply, they simply say, well, that's great. We won't give you the money that you've been used to, being funded with for decades now.
Sometimes it's worse than that. Sometimes they want everything back that they paid you already.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can't come up with this because government's become so bloated. So what you need to do is you need to be very bold with your elected officials. This includes your sheriff, which we have a lot of great sheriffs and a lot of great law enforcement. I don't want you guys to take this as me, bashing them or anything. But if they've accepted this money, you need to be upfront with them and say, hey, that was the wrong thing to do. We should have never done this. And let's not talk about what's happened in the past. Let's talk about how we can fix this for the future. And what are we going to do to trim down this overly bloated government? What are we going to do to get to the point where you can say, New York State, I'm not going to do your bidding. Take away my funding. I don't use it anyways. That's where we need to be. And I tell you what, you're going to get exactly what Bob said in the last segment, where they're going to say, well, if we don't take this money, then somebody else is going to. Or they'll say something else, which really irks me, which is we need to fight for our fair share. Hey, guys, those are like progressive socialist statements. All right. This is not a conservative statement whatsoever to say you need to fight for your fair share of tax dollars, or if we don't take it, somebody else will. Hey, if we don't take it and somebody else does, great. We're doing the right thing. We're being right with money and somebody else isn't. We need to take that first step. We need to be the ones to say, you know what? Yeah, we took that money. It was wrong. We shouldn't have. We're not going to do it moving forward. We know it's going to hurt. We know we need to be more efficient with tax dollars. We know that maybe we're going to have to trim some fat. And some people are going to be upset about that because that might be a couple government jobs that never should have existed. And that's going to make people upset. The elected officials are going to be really nervous about that. But we need to do the right thing. And they will tell you, well, nobody else is doing it. Listen, if the right thing to do was easy, everybody would be doing it. Everybody would be doing it. And they're not.
Yeah, another thing you want to resist is the sentiment that you get from politicians to the effect of, well, I like to bring home I like to bring home the bacon. I bring money back to the district.
Yeah.
No, look, if you need a Little League field that badly, raise the money locally from the community and pay for it.
Yeah, do a GoFundMe.
Don't, yeah, exactly. Or, do a fund drive, do some kind of a fundraising event, a marathon, a golf tournament, something.
Yeah.
Don't look for it from government.
Yeah. One of the things that frustrates me so much is when you drive through an area and the only buildings that look like good and new are government buildings. That just makes me so upset.
That's just the case in most cities, and in fact, and in most municipalities in the Northeast, and in point of fact, in a lot of places you go, you find these municipal buildings that are like Taj Mahals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have every incredible amenity.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Now, when I go through an area and I see that like their post office is built into a convenience store and their town hall is a pole barn, I'm like, yeah, that's how
good.
It's supposed to be. Absolutely. It shouldn't be these giant stone buildings with marble floor and all that. It's no good. So
there's a municipality around here. I had to do some business. I walked into this place, and Andrew, there's a gym for the employees there.
Really?
There's a complete fitness. I'm not talking about, like a couple of ellipticals and a treadmill.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like a full freaking gym.
Wow.
And people are coming in, with the towel around their necks, and they're going to work out, and it's for municipal workers.
Yeah.
What is that?
Pop up a Planet Fitness next door or something. Don't use taxpayer money on that. It's not good.
Go run on the taxpayer-funded roads. I don't care.
Yeah, right. So we're talking about all this stuff, and it sounds like maybe it could be scary, but it's the right thing to do. Let's talk about what this looks like if we're successful. Let's just dream a little bit. Let's talk about the vision here. If we can get law enforcement and our elected officials to actually agree that, you know what, you're right. We're not going to accept these funds anymore. We are going to walk away from this. Well, first things first, your county and law enforcement is no longer stuck and in a situation where they have to receive that money anymore because they've already gotten rid of it. They've already said, no, we don't need it. Well, now you can do things like say, hey, New York, that mandate you sent this way? Not doing it. And New York State says, well, we'll cut your funding. And you say, that's great. We haven't been using it. Take it. We don't want it. And law enforcement, same thing. Hey, we're not going to enforce this anymore. And New York State says, okay, well, you're not going to get your funding for public safety, blah, 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 whatever. And you go, yeah, that's great. We don't use it. Keep it. We're not going to be a part of wasting taxpayer dollars anymore. Did in the past. We're saying no more moving forward. This is a long-term path to self-sustainability and responsible government. You know what else it does? It unties those handcuffs that Albany has on our local government and brings government the closest it possibly can be to the people, which I think is like the most important long-term piece of this, because it's not just going to be Second Amendment issues. It's going to be every single piece of every issue. Everything from sales tax to your property tax to your education that is offered to your children and your ability to homeschool without being beat up by the state and just everything else that goes along with it. This is starting as a Second Amendment thing, but if we can actually pull this off, you might get a lot of freedom back in New York State, and the state is not going to be happy about it.
The other thing is, too, you got to be realistic about this. This is going to be a process.
Absolutely.
You're going to have to commit to this. You're not going to see instant results overnight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've spent decades doing this, so it's realistic to think that this is going to take a long time to unravel and undo. This is not going to be a short-term win. In fact, you're going to see some loss and some upset up front. It's not going to be like, oh, wow, we did this and it's great. It's going to be like, wow, people are really angry. Government's like closing up and trimming out excess and turning away money, which is not what people are used to. And people are going to get upset about it. And it's going to be people who call themselves Democrats and Republicans and conservatives all across the board. This concept of turning away government money has really not been done for a long time, but it's the best way to yield the results we need. So guys, thank you so much for listening on Radio Free New York. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow.